Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be going over some second tier quarterback options that the Washington Commanders could pursue this offseason if they can't get any of the top name quarterbacks via trade. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. I'm so close to 7,000 subscribers. I would really appreciate if you could help me get there. Also hit that like button and turn on those notifications, and follow my Twitter. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on there. Now, let's get right into the video. A lot of Washington Commanders fans, myself included, want the Washington Commanders to go after a big name quarterback. And, a lot of us don't want to settle for mediocrity, and a lot of these second tier quarterbacks would be doing that, but we have to realize that it's going to be hard to get a quarterback like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson if he is cleared, and Aaron Rodgers, even someone like Derek Carr. I mean, you look at Aaron Rodgers, first of all, I don't think he's going to get traded, and even if he does get traded, I don't think he's going to want to come to Washington. He probably wants to go to the West Coast or a team, that's, has more stability than, we do, especially with the owner, with Dan Snyder. You look at Russell Wilson, I think the Seahawks probably won't trade him. And, teams usually won't trade their franchise quarterbacks like that, but maybe they will. But I still think it's like a 75% chance he doesn't get traded. The real possibility is Deshaun Watson, but obviously he has those legal issues, so that has to clear up before, any team trades for him. And then also, last season, he did not waive his no trade clause to come to Washington. It was only like one or two teams, and Washington wasn't one of those. And came out this past week or week ago that the Bucks and Vikings were on this list, but then his agent came out and said that's false. So who knows with that? It's really going to be the legal stuff that plays out. But even then, it's going to be hard for us to get him because it's going to be a lot of draft capital and players as well, and other teams have more draft capital than we do. So it might be where Washington has to settle for a veteran and then draft a rookie. If they get one of these second tier options and don't draft a quarterback in the first two rounds, in my opinion, this is going to be a waste of a season unless they somehow win a playoff game with one of these second tier quarterbacks. I think if they can't get one of those big name quarterbacks, which is likely, I think they should get one of these second tier options and draft a rookie early on in the first or second round and have those guys battle it out. And if it's someone like Malik Willis, it might take him a little bit of time. He might not be ready week one. And if it's someone like Kenny Pickett or some of these other guys, they might be ready right away. So let's go. Again, these are not options that I am advocating for. These are just the options that I think Washington could go after in free agency, trade market. So let's get started. The first one is Carson Wentz. There's been some steam, going with Carson Wentz to Washington a little bit in the last couple weeks, or this last week or so. I'm not sure if I'm really buying it. I heard Kime say that, I think he said Washington isn't super interested in Carson Wentz because of the leadership ability of him, and that is a big question. Two different quarterbacks that were backups behind him that kind of caused issues with Wentz in Nick Foles and Jalen Hurts. I'm not a huge fan of Carson Wentz, and he is under contract, and likely you would have to trade for him, and if that's the case, obviously gonna have to give up draft capital, but also you're gonna have to take on that contract. But you look at his stats this past season, not bad at all. 62% completion percentage, which is not great. 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. That right there is pretty good with a 95 pretty much passer rating. Got sacked 32 times, but he was in a good situation. And the thing with, that scares me a little bit with Carson Wentz, obviously the leadership factor, because if you get Carson Wentz, at least if the Commanders get him, I'm not thinking of Carson Wentz as our quarterback of the future. We'll likely bring in another guy. And will Carson Wentz mesh well with that guy? If we draft the guy in the first two rounds, is he going to feel scared that his job's going to be taken away? That is the biggest question in my opinion, because if that's the case, then we don't want him. Washington shouldn't want him because you're going to be drafting a guy, and that guy is hopefully going to be your quarterback of the future versus Wentz, and if he can't handle that, then we shouldn't go after him. So that is something to keep in mind. But he was decent this past year, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, but He was in a pretty good, system for him. Obviously with Frank Reich, who, really did a good job developing him with the Eagles in that magical 2017 run that they had where he was an MVP candidate. And then the thing is, you look at, the weapons around him. He has the best running back in football this past season. Obviously, if Derrick Henry's healthy, it might be a little bit different, but Jonathan Taylor was an absolute stud, and, they got one of the best offensive lines in football, if not the best, and, okay receiving weapons, and, tight ends are okay. We might have a slight edge on the receiver position because they got Pittman and really no one else, and maybe the tight end position, but they got a better offensive line than us and a much better running back, so he's got a pretty good, he's in a good situation there. And, I think they had like the easiest schedule in the NFL this past season. So I don't know. I like Wentz over one of these other options that I'm going to be talking about in Jimmy G. And the trade, what you're going to have to give up in a trade, in my opinion, if it even is a trade, is going to be less. It's probably going to be a 3rd or 4th round pick instead of with Jimmy G, which a lot of people are saying could be up to a 2nd round pick. So I would be, I'm not a huge fan of Carson Wentz, but I do think he is better than Taylor Heineke. And if you can get him for relatively cheap, and he understands that he is not the long-term option that, we're likely going to bring a, rookie QB to sit behind him, then that's okay. But if he can't handle that, then I don't think Washington should try to get him in DC. We're going to try to go a little bit quicker because I rambled a ton there. Next option, I've talked about this a lot, Jimmy G, especially on the streams. He is an option that, yes, he's probably one of the better quarterbacks of these options, but you're going to have to give up trade capital or draft capital to get him. Probably a 2nd or like a 3rd and a 4th or a 3rd and a 5th. Plus, you're going to have to extend him because he's only on a 1 year, he's in the last year of his deal, and you're going to give him like $30+ million a year. That to me is just a huge no. Like, if we could get Jimmy G, and this will not happen, 100% won't happen, but if Jimmy G was a free agent, I would be all in, and, not all in, but I would be fine getting him. I would be fine because you don't have to give up draft capital, and, his, contract isn't going to be as high, but at this point where you have to trade for him and extend him, I'm just not a huge fan of it. This past season, he was playing hurt, so, that's why his numbers are a little bit down, but he's always hurt. 68% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The year before, 7-5. And then his best year is 2019, 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. But he just always misses games. I think this is the first year where he played a decent amount of games. 2017, played 6. That's when he got traded. The next year, tears his ACL. The next year has a really good year, like an above-average quarterback year. The next year, misses 10 games, and this past season only missed 2 games, but was injured going into the playoffs. Injuries are a huge problem with Jimmy G. Not only that, but he's been in a great situation and really hasn't been that good. Like, he's in a below-average quarterback, in my opinion, who can, at times, be an above-average quarterback, but at this point, I'd much rather go after one of the other options because, yes, Jimmy G might be better than Mitch Trubisky, but Jimmy G will not be your long-term answer, so why not sign another second-tier option where you're just giving him, money instead of trade capital and even more money and roll with them and a rookie? I'd much rather do that than Jimmy G, but if they do decide to go after Jimmy G, the only way I'm okay with it is if they do draft the rookie early on in the 1st or 2nd round, and if it's someone like Malik Willis who's going to need time, I would be okay with that. But at the end of the day, many other options I like better than Jimmy G. Okay, the next one, this is probably my favorite option here, and favorite option here, Jameis Winston. And a lot of people might laugh at that, but he had a pretty solid season this past year for the Saints in 7 games. Had a 5-2 record with the Saints, who, yes, they were a good team, but also, the offense around him, they had Kamara, but Michael Thomas was out for the whole year. They had a bunch of injuries on the offensive line, at the receiver position as well. Their best receiver is Marcus Callaway, and 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and is, highest touchdown percentage in the NFL this past season. And, I think he had a 103 pass rating and also 166 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, again, none of these guys, unless they, really, really surprise you, are going to be your franchise quarterback, they're not going to be your franchise quarterback. But I think that Jameis Winston could help you develop your guy behind you. You're hopefully your franchise quarterback. Maybe it's a guy in the draft, but also win at the same time. He showed that with the New Orleans Saints, and I think he changed from his time with the Bucs. The Bucs, anyways, Bruce Arians' system, it is, it's hard on the quarterbacks in terms of the interceptions. These quarterbacks usually have a lot of interceptions in a Bruce Arians system, but also, that was a lot of that was on him. He sat under Drew Brees for a year and, worked with Sean Payton for 2 years. I would be fine with giving Jameis Winston a 1-year deal and drafting a rookie as well. Again, all these options, they would need, in my opinion, you would have to pair them with a rookie in the first couple rounds, like, a Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, or if you want to go in the second round, maybe someone like Desmond Ridder or maybe Sam Howell. Next option, which definitely could be our starter week 1, is Teddy Bridgewater, because, we obviously know the Carolina connection, and Ron Rivera doesn't really have a connection with him, but Marty Hurney does. He, traded for him, or I think he signed him and extended him, or I know he signed him and gave him a big deal and then later traded him, but I mean, there's obviously a connection there, and I'm not a huge fan of Teddy Bridgewater, but he's, better. It shows how bad this, free agent class is, that he's one of the better options this past season in a similar scenario with Washington, that Washington has 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. You look at his offense, we have a better offensive line, and they have a better receiving core, and tight ends pretty even, and then you look at the running game, I would say it's pretty even. They got 2 good backs, but one's a free agent. Same thing with us. We got 2 good backs, one's a free agent. So pretty similar situation, and was okay with them. But he's, in my opinion, again, not good enough to win more than 9-10 games. So if you want to pair him with the rookie, it's okay. But again, not really moving the needle for me. So yeah, I would be okay with it. But like, he's better. I'd rather go for Teddy Bridgewater and just give him a cheap contract than giving up draft capital for Jimmy G and extending him and really potentially hurting your franchise for the next few years. Kind of similar to what happened with Alex Smith, where Alex Smith, we extended him right away, and unfortunate injury, which really hurt us, but Jimmy G's also had a bunch of injuries too. Last option, and not an option again I like, but it's been linked a lot. A lot of reporters are saying that it could happen, is Mitch Trubisky. Again, not my preferred option. In 2020, his last season, 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, so a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. His best year, 2018, I believe he made the Pro Bowl, but again, the Pro Bowl is a joke sometimes. 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He is a mobile quarterback, which obviously Ron Rivera and company like. He's a quick twitch guy. Again, another thing they like. So he's a guy that definitely I could see them going after as a bridge guy. At this point in his career, that's what he's going to be. I really don't see much more in Mitch Trubisky, and it's going to be cheap. So again, I'm not a really big fan of any of these guys besides maybe Jameis Winston. I like him. I think he would be a good bridge guy to pair with a rookie, but that's kind of the reality of Washington's, quarterback situation. It's not great. If they can't get any of the big names, they're going to have to settle for one of these guys, and let's hope they're able to pair them with the right rookie. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Peace, guys.